Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. It's Mal with Made by Manny and Mal. In today's video, I'm showing you how I made this fall themed striped tumbler with a little floral detailing in the decal. I hope that you enjoy it and let me know what you think. Okay, let's go. We're starting off with a pre-prepped 24-ounce Plump from the Steel Magnolia. These come ready to go. You don't have to sand them, paint them, or anything. You just take them out of the box and you're ready. We're taking this 1-inch painter's tape and I'm going to wrap my stripes around my cup, trying to get this tape lined up as closely as possible so they're like right up against each other. This cup allows for 8 different stripes that are all exactly about 1 inch high. So I'm just going to bring my tape down my cup, creating these stripes, and they don't have to be perfect because we're going to paint them anyway, so don't worry about getting them perfect, just try to line them up the best you can. I'm not going to tape off this bottom stripe because we're going to paint it, but just to show you, the stripes will all be about the same. I'm using 8 different pop of color paints. I got these recently and I've really been loving them, so we're going to use 8 different colors on this cup. The first one we're going to use is navy blue, and we're going to paint the bottom stripe using this color. These paints have kind of like a matte, chalky finish to them when they dry. So before they're under epoxy, they're a little bit fragile. So just be careful as you go through this process to not like accidentally nick the paint with your nail or your craft knife or anything. Just be careful because you can chip the paint really, really easily. I'm going to just lightly brush on a thin coat of this paint as I go and make my stripes. You want to definitely do 2 coats of this paint. They recommend that you use a white base and then go in with your colors. For this cup I did, but I did the same design on a 20-ounce skinny from Craft Haven, and I did not pre-paint that one. I just went straight in on the stainless steel, and after 2 coats of paint, you can't even tell the difference. So I would just do whatever you feel comfortable with. I'm moving up to the top stripe now, and that one I used Jade. So I let those 2 dry and then I moved on to my next stripes. And I'm painting kind of in a like strategic way. I want to paint as many stripes as I can while maintaining a like tape border around them so that I don't have to be super careful and meticulous about painting straight. So you'll see me kind of hop around the cup and doing different stripes at one time. So that third stripe I did is blush. Blush is my favorite color. It's just so perfect. And then this next color I did is called Pine Needle. And then I went in with a second coat of navy blue. After I did blush, I did a second coat of Jade as well. So I'm kind of going through doing my first coats and doing my second coats like intermittently as I go, just making sure that I get at least 2 coats on this paint to give it a really nice opaque finish. For our next stripe color, we're going back up to the top and we're going to be using a color called Pear. This is a color that when you look at in the jar, you're kind of like, oh, I don't know about that. But once you paint it on, it's actually a really pretty green tone. So this color, we don't have a tape border, so it's taking a lot longer. You have to be a whole lot more careful. Just try to paint as straight as you can. If you get a little bit onto your next stripe, it's okay because we're going to use some vinyl striping in between our color blocks at the end. So don't worry about being totally perfect, just do the best you can. The next color we're using is called Blue Gray, and this is going to go in between our navy blue and Pine Needle. This is also another favorite. I just love this like cool toned blue. Then next to Pine Needle, we're going to be taking Lamb's Wool. This is kind of a creamy color and it's really pretty. And then the final color we're taking is called Woods at Night. It's a really deep kind of teal turquoise color. And this one needed 3 coats. As you can see, it's a lot more see-through than the rest of them, but after 3 coats, it all looked the same. So I let this dry overnight, and once it was dry, I was ready to add my vinyl stripes. I cut these out at 11.5 by 0.1 inches tall, and I used my favorite vinyl recently, which is this textured gold vinyl from Cricut. And I'm just going to very carefully and slowly place these around my little color borders. You want to be really careful when you're doing this because of the finish of this paint, you can't really like reposition it once it's down. If you were to put like transfer tape or this vinyl and try to lift it off of the cup, it will bring the paint up with it. So if you would feel more comfortable doing a coat of epoxy before adding your vinyl striping, go for it. I think the next time I do this design, I will do the exact same thing. So whatever you are more comfortable with, definitely do that. And I'm using my table to just help me roll the stripes on straight. It really, really helps. So here's what our cup looks like with all of the striping added to it. I think this just like brings it all together and makes it look really, really nice. I added a coat of epoxy. I used about 20 milliliters of a little extra ink epoxy. And while that was curing, I put together my decal. So I'm going to show you how I created everything in Silhouette Studio. This Wild About Fall decal is one that I created. It is available in my digital Etsy shop, and members of my Patreon group will get this file for free. So that is one of the benefits of my Patreon group. Any SVG that I create that I use in a video or tutorial, plus a few extras, you will get for free just for being a member of my group. So for this patterned shape background, I am going to show you how I created this in Silhouette Studio. It's pretty much the same process for Cricut. You will just use buttons that are named differently, basically. So you're going to start with a blank shape like this, and I just got this part on Etsy, the shape, and then I modified it a little bit to fit what I was looking for. And then I took one of my digital paper files, I have a ton of them, and brought that into Silhouette Studio as well, and then resized it so that it would be small enough to fit more of the pattern into my shape. And once I had it resized, I lined it up to fit kind of what I wanted in that shape. So essentially what we're going to do is just slice out our background shape from this digital paper. So I'm going to get it lined up and then I'll show you what I've got. So here's my shape on my digital paper, and in Silhouette Studio you want your pattern to be in the front of your shape so that it slices out the pattern. And then you're going to go up to Object and then down to Modify and over to my favorite tool, which is Divide. So Divide is essentially the exact same thing as the Slice button in Cricut Design Space. So I'll pull away that excess and then I'm left with this super cute patterned shape that I can use for tumblers or gift tags or whatever else you want to use them for. So that's how I got that. And I used this kind of dark floral fall pattern. And for this 24 ounce plump, I cut this at 4.5 inches high by 3, just about a little over 3 inches wide. And then what I did was create an offset of that floral shape, and I sliced out the middle of it so we're left with a thin frame. And then I took the offset of the SVG, centered those the way I wanted them arranged, and then grouped them together. So that's our little gold portion on the bottom. And then we have the regular decal SVG portion that we're going to layer on top. So on the tumbler, we're going to have a floral background with a gold outline, and then we'll have an offset of our letters so that they pop on the cup as well. So my rule for mixing patterns is always color coordination. So if your colors coordinate, if they have the same color story, you can totally mix patterns. If you have been watching me for a while, you know that I like to do that. I like to keep things really fun and kind of fresh. So we're mixing patterns and I love to do that. So because this floral background matches the same colors in our stripes, this isn't going to look mismatched or disjointed or anything like that. If I were to use like a rainbow springy floral pattern on this instead of this fall color palette, it might look a little weird, but good rule to remember is if the colors match, you're good to go mixing patterns. So just go for it and have some fun. So first I'm taking this floral background pattern that I printed out on printable vinyl, and I'm just gonna put it on my cup like a sticker, lining it up in between my stripes, just making sure it's even. And then I layered my decal before I put it on my cup. So we're ready to just transfer it on. And what I'm going to do to help me make sure that this is lined up perfectly is use the parchment paper layering method, which is literally a game changer. What you'll do is cut out a small piece of parchment paper and put it in between your layers, and you'll use it to help you line up your layers properly. So the vinyl and the transfer tape will not stick to the parchment paper, so you can use it to help you move your decal around. And then just make sure you leave a little bit of extra transfer tape out from under the parchment paper so that you can apply your decal basically using the hinge method once you've got it lined up correctly. So I made a mistake here. When I cut out my floral pattern, I accidentally used matte printable vinyl instead of the glossy that I would normally use. So when I pulled up my transfer tape, it did pull up a little bit of my image, but it's okay, it adds character, right? So now that I've got that on, I'm going to mix up some epoxy and I'm going to add some magic to my epoxy. I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to my girl Barb. She found out that I didn't have Firefly from PDB and she was so generous and sent me some. So I'm going to add a little bit of this to my epoxy and we're really going to take this cup to the next level. So thank you so much, Barb, for sending this to me. I appreciate you so much. So I've got about 25 milliliters of epoxy mixed up here and I added a little bit of Firefly. Look at how pretty that is. Oh my God, I'm so excited. So then I'm going to just apply this all over my cup. I did make another version of this cup on that 20-ounce skinny. So that one doesn't have glitter in it. So you'll be able to see what it looks like with and without the glitter. If you're not a glitter person, you can see what it looks like without glitter. But I think this Firefly really adds just another layer of dimension and sparkle, of course, to this design. And I really like how it turned out. So once I had all of that epoxy on my cup, I threw it on my turner. I got a new turner, by the way. I got an MH turner and I absolutely love it. So I'm gonna let this sit and cure about 6 hours before adding my final coat. And my final coat ended up being about 20 milliliters. And once that cured, we're all done. So that is it for this tutorial. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you can take inspiration from it for your fall designs. Here is the cup that we worked on together that has the extra fine Firefly glitter from PDB mixed into the epoxy. It just gives it a nice little kind of gold shifty sparkle to it, and I really like how it looks on top of all of these pop of color paints. And here is the one that doesn't have any glitter mixed into it. This is the 20-ounce. No glitter mixed into the epoxy, and I also used glossy printable vinyl for the pattern background on the back of that one. So like I said, hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel if you are not already. We upload new videos every single Tuesday and Saturday. Everything I use will be in the description, as well as links to our Facebook group, Patreon group, social media, all of that stuff. So be sure to check that out and I will see you in the next one. Okay, thanks for watching. Love you. Bye.